one of the people that I hope doesn't run for president, because he would needlessly suck off a lot of votes, he would never get elected, and that's Joe Biden. There was a time when Biden might have had a chance, but Biden is, I guess he's a nice guy. I have no complaints about his personality, his intellect. He's a good Catholic. I don't hold that against him, although I probably should. He's suffered tragedy in his life a couple of times. Death has struck his family. I think he makes a good Democrat from the 50s or 60s, possibly the 70s. But now, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, no. I think he was good for Obama, although I think he pushed Obama a little bit further to the right than Obama needed to go. But last fall, Joe Biden went to Michigan, to a city in Michigan that has really been fucked over. I'll get to that in a second. Well, it's Benton Harbor, Michigan. Benton Harbor, I think, was the first city in Michigan that was taken over by a governor of Michigan appointed, and the governor's been defeated, a governor-appointed administrator, which meant that what the citizens of Benton Harbor had decided with their electoral power was washed away. The governor, under new powers enacted by the neo-fascist legislature in Michigan, said the governor has a right to step in and throw out the mayor, the vice mayor, anybody else who gets in the way of the governor's administrator. So I don't like Benton Harbor for that reason. When we were in Chicago working for WLS, we went through Benton Harbor one time on our way to the festival in Holland, Michigan, remember? Tulip Festival, right. I digress. Last fall, Joe Biden went to Benton Harbor after being paid $200,000 for a speaking engagement 3 weeks before the midterm elections. During that speech, Biden gave a glowing commendation to one Representative Fred Upton, a powerful congressional Republican who joined with Biden to increase funding for cancer research. Good for him. And on his own, Mr. Upton helped put together legislation to destroy the Affordable Care Act. So this fucking Upton, on the one hand, he worked to increase funding for cancer research, but on the other hand, for people who have cancer, this fucking Upton wanted to destroy the only method by which they might be able to find someone who would treat them, because they had minimal insurance under the Affordable Care Act. So to Fred Upton, fuck you. And to Joe Biden, shame on you. Now today, this speech, this $200,000 that Biden was paid, was brought up today in Washington when Biden offered a defense, a forceful defense, it says here, of his supportive remarks about Upton. And in doing that, Biden is signaling that he has no intention whatsoever of blunting his instinct toward bipartisanship and compromise in the event that he decides to run for president. How do you compromise with vicious fuckers like the current Republican Party is? How do you do that? Obama tried for 8 fucking years, and Biden should know this. Oh, he does know it. He was right there. Obama tried for 8 years. to compromise with these fucking vampires, these racist pigs who make up the Republican Party. And not once did it happen. And now Biden is talking compromise with these Nazis. Hey, Joe, no, fuck you. I'm quoting what Trump thinks Pelosi said. Now, Biden has told some of his allies, whatever that means, in recent weeks that he's leaning toward running against Trump in 2020. Biden said, according to a video posted by the public affairs network C-SPAN, Biden said, quote, I read in the New York Times today that one of my problems is if I ever run for president, I like Republicans. Okay, well, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Joe. We're not going to laugh and giggle at your little Catholic joke. No, we're not. Stay the fuck out of the race, Joe. You're from my generation. And there is no use for a Democrat from my generation who thinks the way you do. No. Compromise with these evil fuckers? No, Joe. And as a matter of fact, you are one of the reasons we're facing what we're facing, because of all your goddamn compromise over the years. No offense, Joe. I think you're a nice man. You're funny. I think you helped Obama be steady in so many instances when Obama wanted to pick up a fucking howitzer and start killing people, Republicans. I'm guessing, but I'm sure he felt that way. So nothing personal, Joe. Just stay the fuck out of the race. You're not needed. And seriously, by Democrats who understand what we're facing now, don't want you. Maybe if a Democrat does become president in the 2020 election, since you're an elder statesman, you would be very good as an ambassador someplace. But president? No. Biden went on to say, all right, Fred Upton, I went out and spoke at an event, and he was there. He was there. It was about him. And I praised him about the fight against cancer. He was citing Upton's role in passing something called the 21st Century Cures Act. Sorry, Joe, that's bullshit, because Richard Nixon came up with the war on cancer. And that was 45, maybe 50 years ago. Anyway, Biden said that mattered, saved people's lives, and he stepped up. He and 3 other Republicans stepped up and helped us pass it. So I acknowledged that. And now I don't know what I am. End quote. Biden did not mention the $200,000 he got for his trip to Michigan. And he didn't talk about Upton's signature role in the drive to repeal Obamacare. Left that part out. See, this is what I mean. So what Biden displayed today, and no offense, Joe, I think you're a nice man. I really do. I really do. And I have great empathy because I've lost family members to cancer too. And you and I are from the same generation. Really. But you have no business even thinking about running for president because, among other things, you, Mr. Vice President, are part of that white man, Catholic, old school, bullshit governance that got us into places like Vietnam, that got us into School of the Americas, that got us to the point where we're going to fucking die because of global warming. No, I'm sorry, Joe. May I call you Joe? Thank you. No, I'm sorry. You're not needed. You're not wanted. Please stay the fuck away. You're just going to complicate things. There are people who have already decided to run, who represent something different. You don't, Joe. You represent the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s. Joe, psst, come here. Those days are gone. In a statement published, I think today, Mr. Upton described Joe Biden's praise for him as a surprise and, quote, an immense honor, end quote. And by the way, in Fred Upton's district, and he only won his district by 4.5 percentage points, the narrowest margin of his career, thanks to Joe Biden. What happened was, in Upton's district, Biden's favorable comments were used in Republican advertising in the final weeks of Upton's reelection campaign against somebody named Matt Longjohn, that's his name, a Democrat who was a national YMCA health official. So Upton ultimately won re-election by 4.5 percentage points, the narrowest margin of his career. So what Joe Biden did is a classic example of what the Democratic Party does not need anymore, ever again. You tried it, it didn't work, you produced Donald Trump. The story describes Biden's speech to the Economic Club, or describing Biden's speech at Economic Club, which is what he did today. That stirred particularly strong criticism among liberal Democrats who view him as an ideological centrist and distrust his philosophy of aisle-crossing political compromise. Cynthia Nixon, the actor and who challenged Andrew Cuomo from the left in a Democratic primary last year, she tweeted a simple, succinct reaction to the report about Biden. She tweeted, WTF? What the fuck?
Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.